Here we go with 7:30. There was an old man who could piss through a ring, and what's more, never miss. People came by the score and bellowed encore. Won't you do it again, sir? Bis, bis. There was a young lady of purd bright, who never could quite get her turd right. She'd go to the closet and leave a deposit like a mouse or a bat or a bird might. There was an old fellow of Pitwood, who never was able to shit good. He'd leave small deposits on shelves and in closets as a very small pup or a kit would. There was a young man of Rangoon, whose farts could be heard to the moon. When least you'd expect 'em, they'd burst from his rectum with the force of a raging typhoon. Well, like that. It's so visual. Oh, here we are, another man from Rangoon. There was a young man of Rangoon who farted and filled a balloon. The balloon went so high that it stuck in the sky and stank out the man in the moon. Oh, I love it. Why is my nose so itchy? Does that mean I'm going to come into money? No, that's itchy palms. Maybe it means I'm going to come into some type of inhalant, like spray paint or some Peruvian marching powder. There was an old fellow from Roop who'd lost all control of his poop. One evening at supper, his wife said, "Now, Tupper, stop making that noise with your soup." That's the noise he made. Maybe he was gargling. The intestines of Dante Rossetti were exceedingly fragile and petty. All he could eat was finely chopped meat, and all he could shit was spaghetti. There was a young man from St. Paul who had really no scruples at all. He would fart when he'd talk and shit when he'd walk, and at night throw it over the wall. There was an old soldier named Schmidt, took a trip to the can for to shit. To his epic despair, no paper was there, so he simply continued to sit. Tom, Tom, the piper's son, let loose a fart, and away he run. But Tom fell in an old shit bin, and ever since then Tom stinks like sin. Sounds like it just made me want to sing it. I don't know why. Turning the page. Oh, like Bob Seger. Turn the page. Turn the page, yeah. Here we go. There was a young fellow from Sparta. Sparta! There was a young fellow from Sparta, a really magnificent farter. On the strength of one bean, he'd fart God Save the Queen and Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. My. Oh, it's still going. Oh, it's a long one. Here we go. He could vary with proper persuasion, his fart to suit any occasion. He could fart like a flute, like a lark, like a lute, this highly fartistic Caucasian. This sparkling young farter from Sparta, his fart for no money would barter. He could roar from his rear any scene from Shakespeare or Gilbert and Sullivan's Mikado. Mikada. He'd fart a gavotte for a starter, or a gavotte, and fizzle a fine serenata. He could play on his anus the Coriolanus, oof boom ertum tootle yum tata. He was great in the Christmas cantata. He could double-stop fart the toccata. He'd boom from his ass, Bach's B minor mass, and in counterpoint, La Traviata. Spurred on by a very high wager, with an envious German named Bajer, he'd proceeded to fart the complete oboe part of a Haydn octet in B major. His repertoire ranged from classics to jazz. He achieved new effects with bubbles of gas. With a good dose of salts, he could whistle a waltz or swing it in razzmatazz. I hit the space bar. I just stopped recording. Foolish of me. Where am I? His basso profundo with timbre so rare, he rendered quite often with power to spare. But his great work of art, his fortissimo fart, he saved for the marche militaire. I imagine I pronounced that incorrectly. One day he was dared to perform the William Tell Overture Storm, but naught could dishearten our spirited Spartan, for his fart was in wonderful form. It went off in capital style, and he farted it through with a smile. Then, feeling quite jolly, he tried the finale, blowing double-stopped farts all the while. Love it, love it, love it. Turning the page. Bear with me. Oh, it's continuing. The selection was tough, I admit, but it did not dismay him one bit. Then, with ass thrown aloft, he suddenly coughed and collapsed in a shower of shit. His bunghole was blown back to Sparta, where they buried the rest of our farter, with a gravestone of turds inscribed with the words, "To the fine art of farting, a martyr." Oh my, somebody put some thought and creativity into that one. Okay, now we're back to the singles. The damn Jap son of a bitches. We made them wet their britches. We grabbed our gun and made 'em run, the goddamn sons of bitches. Yes, you guessed it, 1943, World War II. There was a young man from Split who was thrilled with the thought of a shit. He was simply elated till he grew constipated, but that took all the pleasure from it. A keen-scented dean of Tacoma was awarded a special diploma for his telling apart of a masculine fart from a similar female aroma. I sat by the Duchess at tea, and she asked, "Do you fart when you pee?" I said with some wit, "Do you belch when you shit?" and felt it was one up for me. Oh, no, it should be. And felt it was one up for me. I one-upped her. When asked by the Duchess at tea if an eggplant I ever did see, I said yes, rather bored. She said, "Sir, you've explored up a hen's ass much further than me." There was a young man from Tijuana who declared as he wallowed in guano, bad shit. It may seem imbecilic to be so coprophilic. I indulge in it just 'cause I wanna. There was a young fellow named Twiss, whose orgasms forced him to piss, and most girls objected to having injected a flood of his piss midst their bliss. But one girl, a smart little floozy, saw reason for being less choosy. Said the sensible miss, "Well, anyway, Chris, your piss certainly cleans out my koozie." Well, there you go. Always looking on the bright side. Always look on the bright side of life. It's true, confessed Jane, Lady Torres, that often I beg lifts in lorries. When the men stop to piss, I see things that I miss when I travel alone in my Morris. Oh, Morris Minor. My neighbor had one. He had to sell it. Oh, it's a long story. I don't want to bore you with the details. There once was a sailor from Wales, an expert at pissing in gales. He could piss in a jar from the topgallant spar without even wetting the sails. There was an old lady from Wheeling who had a peculiar feeling. She laid on her back and opened her crack and pissed all over the ceiling. Oh, my. She must have had strong bladder. Is it Kegels? Did the Kegels control that? Her bladder. Whatever muscles control it. She created a very high PSI. Pounds per square inch. There was an old lady of Ypres who got shot in the ass by some What? There was an old lady from Ypres who got shot in the ass by some snippers. And when she blew air through the holes that were there, she astonished the Cameron Pipers. Oh, I don't like that one. Probably because I don't know how to pronounce it. What's going on here? Are we still rolling? Yes, we're still rolling. Oh, my goodness. Why don't we just stop here? Short and sweet. Oh, wait, no, this is good. We have to continue. New chapter. There was a young sapphic named Anna who stuffed a friend's cunt with banana, which she sucked bit by bit from her partner's warm slit in the most approved lesbian manner. There was a young girl of Antietam who liked horse turds so well she could eat 'em. She'd lie on their rumps and swallow the lumps as fast as the beasts could excrete 'em. I like that one. It made me chortle. There was a young man had the art of making a capital tart. With a handful of shit, some snot, and a spit, and he'd flavor the whole with a fart. It's almost like a chef. A chefery. A chef of what would you say? A poopy pee-pee chef. There was an old man of Balbriggan who cunt juice... There was an old man of Balbriggan who cunt juice was frequently swiggin', but even to this he preferred tomcat's piss, which he kept a pox nigger to friggin'. Poxed. What does that mean? I don't know. I'd have to look it up and time travel back to the old days, and they'd say, oh, yes, of course, this is what it means. We use it every day in conversation. There once was a midget named Carr who couldn't reach up to the bar. So in every saloon he climbed a spittoon and guzzled his liquor from there. There was a young man from the coast who ate melted shit on his toast. When the toast saw the shit, it collapsed in a fit, for the shit was its grandfather's ghost. Oh my, that came out of left field. I like it, though. There was an old man of Corfu who fed upon cunt juice and spew. When he couldn't get that, he ate what he shat, and bloody good shit he shat too. On clinkers his choice often fell, or clabbered piss brought to a gel. When these palled to his taste, he tried snot and turd paste, and found them delicious as well. He ate them and sighed and said, what uncommonly fine shit and snot. Now really the two are too good to be true, I would rather have at them than not. A Dutchman who dwelt in Dundee walked into a grocer's named Lee. He said, if you please, have you any prick cheese? Said the grocer, I'll skin back and see. A coprophagous fellow named Fleam loved to drink a strong urinal stream. He seduced little gonzils into spraying his tonsils with the stuff he liked best on earth, cream. There was a young fellow named Fritz who planted an acre of tits. They came up in the fall, pink nipples and all, and he chewed them all up into bits. There was a young man of Glengarridge, the fruit of a scrofulous marriage. He sucked off his brother and buggered his mother, and ate up his sister's miscarriage. Oh, naughty. Nasty. I like it. A daughter of fair Iowa, while at sport in the toilet one day, swallowed some of her pee, and hereafter, said she, I'll do it at lunch every day. Why not, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle? Even your own waste? I don't know. Oh, here we go. A young lady who once had a Jew beau found out soon that he'd got a boo-boo. So when it was ripe, she put it in a pipe and sucked up the juice through a tube. Oh. There was a young fellow of Kent who had a peculiar bent. He collected the turds of various birds and had them for lunch during Lent. So you can't eat meat, so... Next best thing. Oh, the phone went boopity-boop. There was a young man of King's Cross who amused himself frigging a horse, then licking the spend which still dripped from the end, said, it tastes just like anchovy sauce. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. A hypocritical bastard named Legman, when drinking piss highballs, puts eggs in 'em. If he tells you you're queer to enjoy pissless beer, just say to him, quit pulling my leg, man. There was a young fellow from Leith who used to skin cocks with his teeth. It wasn't for pleasure. He adopted his measure, but to get at the cheese underneath. Well, At least he had a strategy to acquire the cheese. Said a busy young whore known as Mabel, who at fucking was willing and able. It's a pity to waste all that juicy white paste. So she served it in bowls at the table. There once was a U.S. Marine whose manners were slightly obscene. He loved to eat jizz, both others and his, when served in a hot soup tureen. There was a young man from Marseille who lived on clap juice and snails. When tired of these, he lived upon cheese from his prick which he picked with his nails. There was an old maid from Charlotte who lived upon frog shit and snot. When she tired of these, she would eat the green cheese that she scraped from the sides of her twat. There was an old sailor named Jack who was wrecked on a desolate rock. He had nothing to eat but the punk of his feet and the cheese from the end of his cock. At least he had something to eat, poor thing. Well, let's just stop there. That was nice. I liked it, all those. I liked it, them a lot. We ended at 7:87. Oh, my. Ta-ta.